Today we are going to discuss the topic hormonal control of amphibian metamorphosis. You know very well the development of the animals may be two types. One is direct type of development and another one shows indirect type of development. Whatever may be the animal which shows direct type of development, in the sense there is no larval stage. If the animal shows indirect type of development, in the sense there is a larva, then the larva transformed into adult. That type of development is called indirect type of development. Regarding the amphibian metamorphosis, metamorphosis is nothing but changes. Number of changes which takes place in between the larva to adult. So especially here our subject, that is in our syllabus, the amphibian metamorphosis alone included. That is why we enter into the amphibian metamorphosis. So to study the amphibian metamorphosis, for our convenient study, we divided into number of subheadings. So in between the larva to adult, number of changes takes place. The changes may be ecological changes, morphological changes, physiological changes and biochemical changes. So from the ecological point of view, the larva, you know very well, it is nothing but the tadpole. It always present in the water, feeds on the plant product, whether it is that is with the help of the horny teeth which are present in the perioral disc, it scraps the plant products which are present in the water. So it feeds on the herbivorous diet, and the medium is aquatic medium. When it switch over from the aquatic medium, feeds on the herbivorous diet to transform into carnivorous diet and terrestrial environment. Switch over from the aquatic medium to the terrestrial environment and feeds on the carnivorous diet. It can able to feed the worms, insects, even overpower, it can able to engulf, that is the rodents, whatever may be the other larger animal also. Then the next subheading, morphological changes. Under the morphological changes, again for our convenient study, we divided into number of subheadings. One is regressive changes, progressive changes, then structures which exist both in the larva as well as in the adult, but they are modified to suit the change in life from the aquatic medium to the terrestrial environment. So now we are going to start from the regressive changes. What is meant by regressive changes? So some of the parts which are useful to the animal if it lead the life in the aquatic medium, but the same structures or organs that are present in the body of the animal is not essential when it switch over from the aquatic medium to the terrestrial environment by the process of metamorphosis. That is why the unwanted structures which are present in the body of the animal undergo degeneration, necrosis or resorption. What are the structures undergo the process of degeneration or necrosis or resorption, in the sense, taken for example, if it is a tail. The tail is a prime locomotive device if the larva always present in the water. When the larva undergo the process of metamorphosis, no need for the tail. At the same time, the tail undergo the process of necrosis or degeneration. The tail fin undergo the process of degeneration. Gill clefts are closed. Gills are disappeared. The lateral sense organ which are present in the body of the animal also undergo the process of disappearance. Apart from that, the perioral disc, the horny teeth which are present in the perioral disc, changes its shape. The mouth of the animal changes its shape. It feeds on the herbivorous diet, whatever may be the plant products which are present in the water. But when it switch over from the aquatic medium to the terrace, in the sense, here the shape of the mouth of the animal is also changed. The length of the intestine becomes shortened. If it is a larva, it feeds on the herbivorous diet. Because of that reason, it possesses spirally coiled like a watch spring. The intestine is nothing but like that of a spirally coiled like a watch spring. But when it switch over from the aquatic medium, from the tadpole stage to the adult stage, the intestine becomes shortened and straight. And apart from that, one more characteristic, which is the ventral sucker, which is present in the ventral region of the head region, disappear. That is useful for the attachment of plant which are present in the water. So these are all the characteristic features undergo the process of degeneration or necrosis. Then we switch over the next point. Whatever may be the structures which are present in the body of the animal, they are newly developed. They are functional during the time of metamorphosis, not only to the time of metamorphosis, but also when it reaches the adult stage also it is useful. So what are the structures? Taken for example, if starting from the limb. So by the rupture of the body wall, the hind limb comes out, followed by the rupture of the opercular fold, the forelimb comes out. increase in size, and the toes and digits which are appear at its terminal part. Followed by the limb, the middle ear have connected with the first pharyngeal pouch. Over the first that is over this, it is supported by tympanic cartilage. Over the tympanic cartilage covered tympanic membrane. Then when you want to observe the eyes which are protruded out over the cephalic region, over the dorsal region of the head, over the eyes, the eyelids, in between there is upper eyelid and lower eyelid, and nictitating membranes which are developed. And the tongue which protruded out with the floor of the buccal cavity. The last one is nothing but the heart, the tubular heart that is present in the body of the tadpole or in the animal tadpole becomes transformed into three-chambered heart. That's all regarding the progressive changes. Then the next one, structures which exist both in the larva as well as in the adult, but they are modified to suit the changed life. What are they? Starting from the skin. The skin which is present in the body of the both in the tadpole stage as well as in the adult stage. But what is the changes occur in between the larva to adult in the sense? Here the skin which is present in the body of the tadpole is thin and delicate, because the larva always present in the water. But when it switches over from the aquatic medium to the terrestrial environment by the process of metamorphosis in the sense, the skin becomes tough because of the keratinized pigment which is scattered all over the body of the animal. That's why it shows some sort of modification to prevent dehydration, or desiccation or drying up of the skin, whatever may be the thing, and to some extent to prevent mechanical injury also. Then apart from the skin, regarding the intestine, just now we already studied about the intestine which is present in the tadpole is nothing but like a spirally coiled like a watch spring to meet the highly herbivorous diet. The same manner here the intestine become short and straight to meet the highly carnivorous diet. And next one, the kidney that is present in the tadpole as well as in the adult, both of them shows mesonephric kidney. What are the changes occur in the mesonephric kidney? Even though both of them possess mesonephric kidney, but here the mesonephric kidney that is present in the tadpole is shows primitive condition when it compared with that of the adult. It shows well developed in the adult frog or in the frog. Then the lungs, the functional aspect of the lungs is highly intensified. That's all regarding the structures which exist both in the larva as well as in the adult. Now we will enter into the next subheading, physiological and biochemical changes. What are the physiological and biochemical changes? For our convenient study, we can take it as each and every aspect, that is starting from the excretion, serum albumin, hemoglobin, oxygen consumption, lysosomal enzymes, visual pigments, hormones, digestive enzymes, etc., etc. We will try to discuss one by one. Start from the excretion. 90% of the nitrogenous waste product that released or excreted by the tadpole is nothing but ammonia. Ammonia easily dissolved in water and easily disposed of, because the larva always present in the water. No problem. But when it switches over from the aquatic medium to the terrace by the process of metamorphosis in the sense, it has to face the problem that here 90% of the nitrogenous waste product is nothing but urea. So the urea is highly toxic to the individual. If it go on accumulate more and more in the body of the animal, in the sense it is highly toxic. If the toxicity leads for a long time, in the sense it leads to the physiological disorder. If the physiological disorder prolonged for a long time, in the sense it leads to the lethality of the individual. That is why the urea, accumulated urea, enters into the cycle. That is called Krebs urea cycle or ornithine cycle. Here that cycle requires more than 5 enzymes. Among the 5 enzymes, the amount of arginase alone increased 20 times. So that regarding the changes when you compare with that of the tadpole stage to the adult stage during the process of metamorphosis under excretion. The next one, the serum albumin. You know, serum albumin, what is the important role played by the serum albumin in the blood? So here it should maintain a proper balance between the osmotic pressure of the blood, that is body fluid, with that of the blood. So in what way they maintain a proper balance in the sense, if it is an animal, if it is a tadpole, always present in the water, no problem regarding the desiccation or drying of the skin. But when it switch over from the aquatic medium to the terrestrial and transform from the tadpole stage to the adult stage, in the sense, it has to face the problem of desiccation or drying of the skin. So to overcome the problem, that is the evaporation or desiccation of the water from the body of the animal should be prevented. In what way they should be prevented? In the sense, here it should maintain, the animal should maintain a proper balance between the body fluid with that of the blood. I think you know very well what is the difference between the body fluid with that of the blood. Body fluid is nothing but whatever may be the fluid that is present in the interstitial cells. So it a proper balance between the body fluid with that of the blood. How can it maintain the osmotic pressure of the blood? In the sense, with the help of the serum albumin. Of the total protein, of the total serum protein which is present in the blood, the serum albumin alone increase 50 times to maintain a proper balance between, to maintain the osmotic pressure of the blood, because it carries largest electric charge. That is the changes occur under serum albumin. Then apart from this, the hemoglobin. What is the role played by the hemoglobin? You know very well, heme is nothing but iron, globin is nothing but a protein. If you observe, it is a tadpole, the hemoglobin of the tadpole binds with oxygen more readily, but the oxygen pressure under lesser pressure. You know, that is a common concept. The oxygen pressure in the water is always lesser. Under lesser pressure, the hemoglobin of the tadpole binds with oxygen more readily compared with that of the frog. But in the case of frog, under higher pressure, that is atmospheric pressure, at the under higher pressure only, it binds with oxygen. So the loading capacity or binding capacity is more in the case of frog, in the case of tadpole, but the binding capacity as well as loading capacity compared with that of the tadpole here in the case of frog is less. That the tadpole, that is the hemoglobin of a frog, can able to binds with oxygen only under higher pressure. So in what way the changes occur? Some sort of amino acids, some of the positively charged amino acids which are added to the hemoglobin during the process of metamorphosis, histidine, lysine, arginine, these are the positively charged amino acids which are added to the hemoglobin during the process of metamorphosis. At the same time, some of the negatively charged amino acids like that of aspartic acid, like that of glutamic acid, which are eliminated from the hemoglobin. Cysteine, a sulfur containing amino acid which is not present in the case of tadpole. But when you observe the frog, hemoglobin of the frog, it possesses the cysteine. So cysteine is added to the hemoglobin of the frog during the process of metamorphosis. Then we will switch over to the next one, oxygen consumption. So the amount of oxygen consumed by the tadpole when it switch over from the aquatic medium to the terrestrial environment, from the tadpole stage to the adult stage, is more. Why is the amount of oxygen consumed by the tadpole is more? In the sense, to meet out all the biochemical as well as physiological activities. That is why the changes occur from the tadpole stage to the adult stage. It goes on increase, that is amount of oxygen consumed by the individual, consumed by the animal. Then the next one, digestive enzymes. Regarding the digestive enzymes, pepsin and trypsin, this is a common thing you know very well. The pepsin and trypsin always present both in the larval stage as well as in the adult stage. But what is the changes occur? In the sense, the same pepsin and trypsin present in the larva as well as in the adult, but the activity become increased to meet the highly carnivorous diet. Then the lysosomal enzymes. Regarding the lysosomal enzymes, they are otherwise called suicide bodies. They burst and release their enzymes. So for the process of tail degeneration, necrosis of the tail, here the enzymes, the lysosomal enzymes, or by the rupture of the body wall, the forelimb, the hind limb comes out. By the rupture of the opercular fold, the forelimb comes out. Each and everything here the lysosomal enzymes are used. Here for what are the lysosomal enzymes? Beta glucuronidase, acid phosphatase, alkyl phosphatase, and several peptidases. Among the enzymes, the amount of the enzymes, so the concentration of the enzymes go on increase during the process of metamorphosis. Cathepsin, a protein digestive enzyme, that the enzymes alone increase 20 times when during the process of metamorphosis regarding the lysosomal enzymes. Then visual pigments. In the eye, the rods of the retina, two types of pigments are there. One is porphyropsin and the other one is rhodopsin. In the case, that is, the porphyropsin always present in the freshwater fishes, like that of tadpole. Here, our tadpole also possesses the purple colored pigment, nothing but the porphyropsin. The rhodopsin is nothing but a red colored pigment that only present in the terrestrial vertebrates and marine vertebrates. Here, like that, in our frog also they possess the rhodopsin. Here, in the rods of the retina, two types of pigments just now we discussed. From the larval stage to the adult stage, from the porphyropsin, the rods of the eye, in the rods of the retina of the eye possess porphyropsin in the larval stage. When it switches over from the tadpole stage to the adult stage, it becomes transformed into rhodopsin, a red colored pigment. That red colored pigment is only present in the terrestrial vertebrates and marine vertebrates. That is the changes. What is the chemical composition of the porphyropsin and rhodopsin? You know, porphyropsin is nothing but a protein opsin with conjugated with aldehyde vitamin A2. Rhodopsin is nothing but a rhodopsin is nothing but a combination of opsin, that is nothing but a protein, with conjugated with aldehyde vitamin A1. These are the changes occur during the visual pigments. Then the last one, hormones. Hormones play a dominant role during the process of metamorphosis. The flowchart shows schematic representation of the hormonal control of amphibian metamorphosis. You know, hypothalamus is nothing but a part of a brain. Pituitary is another endocrine gland. Thyroid gland, another endocrine gland which is present in the body of the individual. In the hormonal control of amphibian metamorphosis, for our convenience study, we divide it into three subheadings. One is pre-metamorphic stage, then pro-metamorphic stage, and the third one, metamorphic climax stage. What is meant by pre-metamorphic stage? A common word. Just before metamorphosis. What are the events which occur just before the metamorphosis? That is called pre-metamorphic stage. Here, hypothalamus is nothing but a part of a brain. Pituitary is nothing but another endocrine gland. Thyroid gland, another endocrine gland which is present in the body of the animal. Here, the hypothalamus by this time, that is at the time of, during the time of pre-metamorphic stage, won't release any substance. The pituitary alone release a substance, nothing but the prolactin, a chemical substance or hormone-like substance which promote the growth of the larva. When the larva attains its maximum size, then it enters into the initial process of metamorphosis. What is the initial process of metamorphosis? Is nothing but pro-metamorphic stage. As usual, the hypothalamus by this time released a substance. Not like that of pre-metamorphic stage. Here the hypothalamus release a substance. The substance is nothing but thyroid stimulating hormone releasing factor or thyrotrophin releasing factor, which are released by the neurosecretory cells which are present in the brain. The TRF from the hypothalamus activate the pituitary. Before the TRF activate the pituitary, simultaneously the same hypothalamus, so during the process of pro-metamorphic stage, the hypothalamus release a chemical substance or hormone-like substance, nothing but the thyrotrophin releasing factor, or otherwise called thyroid stimulating hormone releasing factor. Simultaneously, the hypothalamus also release a substance, dopamine. What is the use of the dopamine which released by the hypothalamus? In the sense, already in the pre-metamorphic stage, the pituitary release the substance, chemical substance, nothing but a prolactin which enhance or promote the growth of the larva. When the larva attains its maximum size, then only it enters the pro-metamorphic stage. By this time, even though the larva attains the maximum size and enter into the metamorphic stage, sometimes it won't release the dopamine. In the sense, the dopamine, because of the released dopamine by the hypothalamus, which give signal to the pituitary, don't release the prolactin. If it go on release the prolactin, in the sense it enhances the growth of the larva never enters into the metamorphosis. The growth of the larva alone enhanced. That is why it form a giant tadpole. That is why the hypothalamus release dopamine is nothing but a prolactin inhibitor, which released by the hypothalamus and give signal to the pituitary, do not release prolactin. So that is why the schematic representation shows the level of prolactin which released by the pituitary is slowly reduced. So during the process of prometamorphic stage, the hypothalamus release a chemical substance, nothing but thyrotrophin releasing factor, or otherwise called thyroid stimulating hormone releasing factor. Simultaneously, the same hypothalamus also release a chemical substance, nothing but the dopamine. The dopamine is nothing but which inhibit the prolactin. It is act as a prolactin inhibitor, which gives signal to the pituitary, don't release prolactin. Thyrotrophin releasing factor which released by the hypothalamus activate the pituitary to release thyroid stimulating hormone. The thyroid stimulating hormone activate another endocrine gland, nothing but the thyroid gland, to release triiodothyronine and tetraiodothyronine. Commonly we can use it T3 and T4. The T3 and T4 act on the target tissues causing necrosis and degeneration, whereas the same T3 and T4 act on some group of target tissues to promote growth and differentiation. So by this time the initiation of metamorphosis occur. During the process of prometamorphic stage, the T3 T4 level in the blood is more, in the sense it automatically gives signal to the pituitary to release more amount of thyroid stimulating hormone. If more amount of thyroid stimulating hormone released by the pituitary, in the sense it automatically activate the thyroid gland to release more amount of T3 and T4. If further more and more amount of T3 and T4 level in the blood is more, in the sense automatically it enters into the metamorphic climax stage. So here by this time we give a source that schematic representation shows a positive feedback mechanism. If the amount of the T3, T4 level in the blood is more, in the sense it automatically gives signal to the pituitary to release TSH. The TSH activate another endocrine gland, nothing but the thyroid gland, to release T3 and T4. That process is called positive feedback mechanism. Then the next one, metamorphic climax stage. What are the events which occur during the process of climax stage? As usual, the hypothalamus release thyrotrophin releasing factor or thyroid stimulating hormone releasing factor. Simultaneously it releases dopamine, nothing but the prolactin inhibitor. Because of the prolactin inhibitor released by the hypothalamus, the pituitary won't release prolactin. The thyrotrophin releasing factor released by the hypothalamus activate the pituitary to release more amount of thyroid stimulating hormone. The thyroid stimulating hormone activate another endocrine gland, nothing but the thyroid gland, to release more amount of T3 and T4. So by this time, that is during the time of climax stage, when the larva attains the stage of climax, or within a short duration they transformed into adult. By this time the level of T3 and T4 level in the blood is more, in the sense it automatically gives signal to the thyroid gland, don't release T3 and T4. Not only to the thyroid gland, but also it gives signal to the hypothalamus, won't release TRF. If it won't release TRF, in the sense the pituitary is an inactive form, it won't release TSH. If the TSH is not released by the pituitary, in the sense the thyroid gland is also inactive form, it won't release T3 and T4. So here the signal given by the T3 to the hypothalamus, not only hypothalamus but also to the thyroid gland, called negative feedback mechanism. So the larva attains, that is the larva transformed into adult during the process of climax stage, attains the adult stage. Within a short duration they transform into adult frog. That is, the diagrammatic representation is given in the next slide, along with the life cycle from the egg, tadpole stage, different types of tadpole and tailed frog, and the tailed frog transformed into adult frog. All the things are exhibit with the help of the diagrammatic representation. These are the two slides shows the diagrammatic representation of the metamorphosis